Okay, hi. So this week's mini class is called Finding Your Sacred Voice. There is no PowerPoint for this class. It is going to be a super short class, which is why I'm recording it in advance. Um, Also, it's a holiday weekend, and I know everybody's super busy, so I thought I would just put this together and quickly go over it. If you download your companion guide, we're kind of going to just go through it together. It's pretty self explanatory. So I'm going to start by explaining that voice is sacred breath made manifest. So when we move our voice through our body to make sound, we connect with the element of air. We connect with actually all of the elements. We've got the element of air, that is the breath that is moving through our body. We've got the element of earth, that is our body. We've got the element of fire, which is like the will, which is the spark that is that creative spark that is creating the words that we are going to speak. And we connect with the element of water, which is like our saliva and everything that like makes us be able, like, you know how much water is in a body, right? So it allows us to make these words actually happen. So we have all of these elements together, and that can make our voice sacred when we have that intention. So we use words in many ways. We evoke the gods, we call the elements, we speak our intentions into reality. We create joyful songs, we sing, we make these powerful ritual statements, we can chant. So we have all of these like sacred activities, sacred actions that we take with our voice. So that's kind of where we're starting from. Why our voice is actually sacred. Our voice itself, like the words that we say are sacred, but the action of speaking itself is sacred. And this is part of the reason why I suggest when you do ritual, even if it's solitary ritual, that you don't just do things, just say it in your head, because a lot of people will do that. I know I did that when I first started out. Part of it was because I didn't like want my mom and dad and sister to hear me because I was still at home. But also, it is kind of very strange at first to be speaking out loud with nobody there to hear you. Obviously, the universe is out there to hear you, but if you're just starting out, it can feel a little bit uncomfortable to speak these ritual statements into the air with just to yourself, because we're all kind of ingrained. There's like this idea that's ingrained in us that we shouldn't be talking to ourselves. Don't talk to yourself. If you talk to yourself, you're crazy. So I feel like when we are doing especially solitary rituals and we're speaking our truth and we're speaking our ritual words, there can be like a little disconnect there at the beginning. So I suggest really practicing speaking and singing and speaking out loud when you're the only one in the room, because it will really help you get used to that action. So most of our ritual is done with our voices. We do move around the ritual space, but our evocations, our quarter calls, everything is done with our voices. We use our voice to establish our intent, to, like I said, to speak our truth into the universe, and we use it to create energy. Like I said, when we chant, we use it as like cues in the ritual that something's going to happen. We can evoke different emotions, and it is like the keystone of ritual theater. And if you don't know what ritual theater is, it's a part of a ritual, and not every ritual has this, but there are many rituals that have kind of a ritual theater aspect to them. So one aspect, like one type of ritual theater that sometimes we see is the at the winter solstice and summer solstice. Sometimes if we go to open rituals especially, we see like the fight between the Holly King and the Oak King. It's just kind of a play act, is acting something out. And most of the time it's kind of like putting on a play within your ritual. So that could be a huge scripted thing, or it could be a spontaneously like a kind of a spontaneously scripted thing. But it's really important that we realize that our words have the ability to change emotion, to allow us to access emotion, and allow us to kind of connect with one another and create the energy and the vibe of a ritual. Our voice really, sorry, I have a little bit of sniffles. Our voice really can guide the tone of a ritual. So one of the most important things when we're talking about our voice is talking about projection and projecting that voice and making like ritual statements. So when we do that, we want to make sure that we do that with like a strong voice. Everybody should be able to hear you if you are doing a circle with a lot of different people. When you're in a small circle or if you're by yourself, it's easy. But if you go to like a pagan pride ritual or any kind of open ritual, you'll see often the group or the person or people who are doing the ritual are kind of in the middle. And then they have like this bigger circle. And that could be a circle of 10, it could be a circle of 20, it could be a circle of 50. So it's important that you practice your vocal projection. So that's not just for like an open ritual reason, but when you practice speaking strongly in one specific direction, and you speak like from your diaphragm instead of like from your chest area, it allows you to speak more strongly. It allows your words to come out with more confidence. It just creates kind of a more solid tone to your ritual. So instead of saying something like, I cast a circle to be a boundary between the worlds, between the seen and the unseen, the physical and the spiritual, the material and the ethereal, this world and the other world, which is a circle casting that my coven does, right? So I just said that because like I was reading it. But there's a difference between that and saying something like, I cast this circle to be a boundary between the worlds, between the seen and the unseen, the physical and the spiritual, the material and the ethereal, this world and the other world. So you can see, like, if I'm just reading it, it's different than when I'm speaking it. So when I speak it, like, you're actually putting your intention into the words, and you're kind of feel the words come in, like, out of your body while you're saying the words, right? So like, I cast this circle. Yeah, you don't have to be that dramatic. Like, you could be over dramatic. It all depends on the tone that you're looking for the ritual. If you are looking for a very solemn tone, you might do it differently. If you're looking for a quieter tone, maybe you're doing some sort of Samhain ritual about ancestors and you want like this solemn tone, you might speak it like, I cast this circle to be a boundary between the worlds, between the seen and the unseen, something like that. Or if you're doing something for like Beltane and you want it to be fun, you can say it different. You could say it something like I cast the circle to be a boundary between the worlds, between the seen and the unseen. So you can see, hopefully, that all of these different ways can contribute to the tone of the ritual. And even if you're doing solitary ritual, even if it's just you, when you're setting that tone and you're evoking the feeling that you want, when you are trying to, if you're evoking the feeling in the beginning, it's going to help you continue on with the theme and the feeling of your ritual. So that's that. You can use tone to just change the actual feeling. Another thing I want to mention is poetry and its use in ritual. So sometimes a lot of people like to recite poetry in ritual. It could be a very long Shakespeare-ish, Old English word type poem, or it can be a modern poem, or it can be anything like that. These tend to happen more at Sabbath circles and as well as devotional esbat circles when we're like venerating a specific deity. So if you are doing a Sabbath circle, you might read a poem as part of the lore or statement of intention, or you might do it as part of the center. You can do call and response poetry, but they're just some things to think about, and thinking about how when you read a poem out loud, like how are you reading it? Are you reading it just like, yeah, I'm reading this right now and I am a robot? Or are you reading it with feeling? Because again, your voice conveys tone, which can convey feeling and energy. Then I wanted to quickly talk about songs versus chants. There are differences, and I think I talked about this in my live stream for Rising Fire Tribe a couple weeks ago, but a chant rarely has a tune and is very repetitive. So think about, like, think about like the cool like TV chants in like Latin, right? It's just some words and you just keep saying it over and over and over again. For example, for winter solstice, I suggested a chant that says something like, we turn, turn the wheel, return, return the light. Turn the wheel, return the light. Turn the wheel, return the light. So, I would probably start it slower than that. I naturally speak quickly, so sorry. But when we are chanting like that, it's very monotone, and that's there for a reason. It allows the energy to build up in a bit of a different way than if we are singing it like turn the wheel, return the light, turn the wheel, return the light. So, which you could also do, but there is definitely a different vibe. And I suggest that you just try saying those words. Turn the wheel, return the light. Say it in a sing-song voice and then say it in a very serious monotone voice and see if you can feel how the vibe is different from one way to another. Sometimes chants have tunes and sometimes they're sung in rounds, which is a really, really neat way to raise energy. If you're unfamiliar with what a round is, it's kind of like when we learn row, row, row your boat in like kindergarten. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. And it's sung in different parts. So it might be split up into 3 different parts, which is really difficult to do if you are a solitary, but you might find this happening, or you might plan a circle with friends and family. And so I want to make sure that you kind of understand why this is really cool. So with this, like, let's say it's like a 3-part round. The first section would sing row, row, row your boat and continue on the song. Then the second section would join in with row, row, row your boat, and then the third section. So it kind of sounds like row, row, row your boat, row, row, row your boat, row, row, row your boat. And the way that the song is structured, it all kind of melds together, even though people are singing different parts at different like parts of the song. So it really works out, and it's a very cool way to kind of spiral that energy. So if you do something like that, I would suggest that you kind of think about how the parts are going. Are you structuring that energy in a clockwise direction, with who you're choosing to sing what part, or are you structuring it in a counterclockwise direction? Clockwise is to bring things in, and counterclockwise is to banish things or release things. So that is something to keep in mind. And here on the companion guide, I listed a couple cool chant and song people. I really, 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 really like Labana. If you've never listened to Labana, listen to Labana, please, because it's awesome. And they have some really awesome rounds. They have some awesome a cappella songs. They have some really great harmonies, and harmony itself can raise energy. I think I've told the story, but in case you missed it, but I was at a ritual. I think I mentioned this in that same live stream. I feel like, okay, so what happened was I'm at this party not to celebrate. It's like a healing ritual, like party thing, right? So part of this ritual, which it was one of those things where they're like, hey, Ivy, come to this party and do something. So I'm like, okay. So part of this very casual ritual is the person who was sick was sitting, she was sitting in a chair in the center of the circle, like ready to receive our healing energy. And I started a chant, a holding space chant, which when we talk about holding space is kind of like when we're holding space for somebody, we are present and our energy is present and we are focused and we are witnessing what is happening from a very mindful place. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to hold space for you, it just means you're going to be focused on that person and what is happening, and in a supportive, with like some supportive intention. Not so much to action, like to I'm doing something for you right now, but just to be present and to be witness and to be supportive and not judgmental. That's kind of what holding space is. So I was doing this holding space chant, and it was a chant that I learned, I think, at PantheaCon. And they didn't say it was for holding space, but I thought it was perfect for holding space. I think when I learned it, they were doing a counter chant with it, but I was like, oh, this is great. And it was a very simple chant, 4 sounds, A-O-O-A, the end. Very simple, and it was A-O-O-A, A-O-O-A. So that way, I like to give everybody something to do in ritual, even when you're holding space, because it allows you to continue to do your holding space, but it gives you something else to focus on, especially for people who might not always be used to being in a ritual and might not just be like, okay, I'm holding space, and they don't really understand what that is, and sometimes it's hard for people to focus. So by giving them something simple like this super simple structured chant, it allows everybody to hold space more easily. So the idea was that we are all going to hold space with this chant, and one by one people could come and place their hands on the woman who was sick and put their healing energy into her, and we're all witnessing that. So it started just like that. It started just like how I expected. And I figured after everybody stopped, then we might all like go and put our hands on her, and I would be like finishing the chant, right? Because it has to stop at some point. So, but what happened was a little bit different than what I expected. And that's not a bad thing, because sometimes songs and chants will just have a life of their own. So we start A-O-O-A, A-O-O-A, and we probably have about 15 people, 20 people in this apartment. I'm sure the neighbors loved us. And then somebody shifted the chant, and I'm not sure if it was me or not, because I naturally sing harmony sometimes. If I ever hear a harmony part, it's hard for me to sing melody again. So it could have been me, but I think the original shift was somebody else in the circle. So instead of going A-O-O-A, they started singing A-O-O-A, A-O-O-A. It was like a little shift on the end. And then what happened, then somebody brought it up to harmony. That might have been me. I cannot remember, honestly. So we've got A-O-O-A, A-O-O-A, A-O-O-A. So then we had the regular, like, melody, which is like I don't even like calling it, it's not very much of a melody, right? We've got the melody, and then we have the harmony, and together that vibe got really crazy. The energy just raised like so quickly. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, this is a simple healing ritual. What is happening? So if you're like a singer, I'm not a singer. I've never had singing lessons or anything. But if you're a person who enjoys singing or just likes to sing the harmony part or something like me, maybe you're like a person who's used to singing harmony, you might want to try singing, like get your phone and record yourself singing that chant, A-O-O-A, and just sing that a couple times, and then lay on top of it a harmony or play with it A-O-O-A or A-O-O-A, however you want. And just like listening to that, just having your bass line melody and then singing a harmony or just some other notes on top of it. See how that feels. See how that feels to your ears. See how that feels in your body. Play with it. Even dissonant notes, like even if you are like off key or it's not, it doesn't meld beautifully into this amazing like song. That's fine and great and good, because even like dissonant or flat, if like the flat or sharp notes are together, it can give a spooky vibe as well. So I just suggest that you try something like that, because that was really, really interesting to me. And it just got it got louder and louder, and like the energy was like huge. And then I had everybody bring it in and like put all that energy, healing energy, intention into the women. But, but it went a little bit off the rails there for a second, which is always a learning experience for sure. So that is a good way to hold space. And then you can also change it from holding space into raising that energy and to doing whatever you want to do. If you have more than one person, even if you're by yourself, from changing it from like a holding space to like vibe to a raising energy vibe, you can still go up like keys, I guess. Like A-O-O-A, A-O-O-A, A-O-O-A. You can just, you can go up, you can go down. It's pretty awesome because, especially if you're practicing by yourself, you can do whatever you want. But it gives you another way to raise energy. So when you're doing a chant like this and you want to raise energy with it, there are a couple different ways that we can raise energy with our voices, and that was one way. But so we talked about tone. I also want to talk about, we just talked about like pitch change, like I guess going up a key or down a key, but we also have speed and we also have volume that we can play with as well. So we've got tone, we've got pitch, we've got volume, and we've got speed. So in your companion guide, I just wrote a chant. It's kind of a silly, fun chant. Sounds like something you would see on TV, but whatever. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. So you can say it like a regular chant. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. So, and so that's just like your normal chant, right? But you can start quietly and get louder. That is one way to raise energy with your voice. You can start with whispers. This is something I really like doing. Like, we are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. So you can kind of see how it starts off and it kind of gets, it gets larger. It feels like it gets larger. That's how I guess that's the input to my brain is. It's larger. You can also raise energy using chant with speed. So, like, we are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. We are a circle, we hold the key, we call the power, so mote it be. So again, this, as you speed up, it gets bigger and the energy raises up. So you can even do both of these things. We are a circle, we hold the key, recall the power, so would it be, and just get like louder and faster. In the beginning, I would just choose one or the other, just so that you're able to kind of more feel the energy in your body. And when we're raising this energy, a lot of people go, okay, where am I raising the energy from, right? You know, like, is it earth energy? Is it universal energy? Is it like we talked about, like kinetic energy when we're moving, if we're running around in a circle, like that's energy that we're raising. And that's kind of similar to what we're doing. We are pulling this energy like through our bodies, and the way that I see it, and again, other people are going to see it differently. The way I see it is we are pulling this like universal energy that exists, and we're pulling it through, we're focusing it through our bodies and through our breath. And that is like what is kind of creating the energy. It's kind of the same idea of when we talk about speaking our intentions out into the world. Like we are taking our will and the spark of our intention and we're putting that out there, right? So it's very similar to that. And, so that's how I see it. Other people, you might feel like you'd rather draw the energy from the earth, like through your feet, kind of like when we did the root exercise. So you might want to try visualizing different ways. But a lot of times with things like this voice thing, like you don't have to visualize to raise energy every time. So when I'm chanting and I'm feeling it in my body without visualizing it in my head. And so when we talk about drawing energy, like using our bodies and like our hands and our feet and our this and our that, and without something action oriented, like like centered in our body oriented, like when we sing, like we feel that in our body, right? We're embodied. We're like literally like embodying our voices and embodying that energy. You don't really need to visualize. Although when you are like drawing it from the ground or doing something like that, it really helps to visualize while you're raising that energy. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions, let me know. So that's almost it. I do want to talk quickly about songs. So I talked about chant and vibe and speaking and poetry and all of this stuff, but I do want to talk about regular songs. So a chant has sometimes it has a tune, sometimes it doesn't. It's very repetitive. But songs have verses and choruses, and they also can kind of have a place in ritual. It can be a great opening to a ritual. It can be a great celebratory song. To a ritual. You can sing it whilst you're doing like your center. Like for example, if you're doing a ritual and your center is dressing a candle and you have a song that you would like to sing while you're dressing a candle, that works too. It doesn't usually raise the energy, but it kind of can hold that energy, and that can hold like the tone of the energy in the circle. So for example, there is a song that my group usually does at Imbolc. I can't speak today. It's by Lisa Thiel, I think. And we just call it the Bridget song. But it's like Blessed Bridget. Blessed Bridget, comest thou in. Bless this house and all of our kin. But it's a very like a soft, serious, sweet song. And that's the energy. Because usually for Imbolc, my group, we do like a kind of a Bridget devotional. We tend to do that for like every Imbolc. And so because it's a devotional and that's kind of like what we're doing, even though it is a Sabbath, our celebration is a celebration of that goddess, of the goddess Bridget. And so when we sing that song, it keeps the tone of the ritual. It allows us to connect with the theme of the ritual, and it allows us to kind of keep all that energy into our container. It's very interesting when you start thinking about your voice as not just, oh, I'm saying the words, especially when it comes to songs and chants, but you're kind of embodying the intent, because your body all has to come together to make this happen. So that pretty much sums up our sacred voice. So that's it for today's mini class. I said it would take about a half an hour. Boom, it's about a half an hour. I feel pretty good about that. I'm going to post some links, probably not today. Today is Sunday, but probably either a little bit later today or within the next couple days, to some songs and chants and some other cool things that I found about raising voices and energy. And if you haven't noticed, I'm kind of going to be going back and adding some links, because I know I have links that might help and support you in the modules that we've already done. So you'll find that I'm going to go ahead and, like, I just added an article about aspecting the goddess to module 4 in the Facebook group. So all of those additional resources and additional links will be able to be found in the Facebook group. You just click over on the left to units, I think it's called units, and then you'll be able to see every module and the links within. All right, so that's it. I will talk to you later. As always, feel free to contact me on Facebook or in the Facebook group, or email me or whatever, because I'm here for you. If you have any questions, or if you want to start, if you are trying these and you have a question or you're thinking about something, and you want to start a discussion, always feel free to start discussions in our private Facebook group. That's what it's there for. And if you have a question, it's probably even best to ask it there, because then not only will everybody see my answer, or other people can chime in with their experiences and their answers. Really quickly, I want to talk about the alignment assignment before we go. So assignment 1 is practice using your voice and having fun with it. Sing softly and loudly and see if you can feel how that energy shifts. And then there's a space for journaling. A playlist. Create a playlist of songs and chants that you enjoy. You can search Pagan Chant on YouTube. How funny, I spelled it wrong on the guide. On YouTube. Or Spotify has a lot of the artists that I mentioned. And I'll be posting a couple... I'll be posting a few songs or videos from some of the artists that I mentioned. But there are only 2 assignments, because this is kind of a mini class. So that's it. I hope you guys have a great New Year's, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.